All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is Blue podcast. Hopefully your favorite Chelsea podcast out there and a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network. Dan, one of your hosts here alongside Nick. And it is not the happy cast that we were planning to have after hopefully beating Newcastle away and securing very strong footing heading into the final two remaining league games of the season for Chelsea. Instead, it is a review on an absolute smattering that we received at St. James's Park against them. And Nick, I mean, you were going to lose one probably of Liverpool and Newcastle, so the math hasn't changed a whole lot. It's just the nature of the loss is not great.
No. I mean, this was our hardest remaining game. And boy, they made hard work of it. I mean, it was 0% preparation front to back, top to bottom. We just didn't show up. And, I think we were talking a little bit before we press record here on this here podcast. Like, Newcastle are so gettable. They're so gettable. I respect them because I think they are guaranteed top four now, and I think that they're gonna play in the Champions League next year. But that's not a great team. They're a shithouse team. They're tough to play. They're gettable, and they just played and we didn't. And that's just the long and short story of what happened today.
Are you sure they're a bad team? I mean, I guess maybe just off the top. I mean, they
I'm saying
36.
I'm saying they're gettable. I'm not saying that they're a bad team. I'm saying, like, of all the teams that it's not like they're playing as well as like a Liverpool or whatever. Like, they don't play great football, but they are effective, right? They're effective in what they do, and they're very physical. I just think Chelsea, if Chelsea would have showed up the way that they did against Liverpool, it would have been a whole different thing. But we didn't turn up, and so the equation will be kind of a never know sort of situation.
It does feel as if maybe just, you can kind of frame me. I know we're not a Newcastle podcast, but I was looking at the Opta Joe stats before. Could not find a good stat about Chelsea, so didn't include any of those, but I did find a couple about Newcastle. The one they had, that it was the number 20. Newcastle picked up their 20th Premier League win of the season, the first time they've won 20-plus games in a single season in the competition since 2002, 2003, 21, which was the last time they finished in the top three of the division. I mean, it is definitely successive years of building towards something. And I mean, I think maybe if you look at it, not all of their signings have been the sexiest player, the most interesting player, but they have assembled a squad that can go out and grind and also has a little bit of shithouse in them. Mm-hmm. And I think there are times where you're like, man, I wish we could have just a 10th extra of the shithouse that they had on display today. The way they were willing to go into some tackles, the way that they were willing to contest the ball. I mean, obviously, we had a big, unfortunate decision that we'll talk about that went beyond the extent of shithouse into self-shithousery. And we'll cover all of that in this one. But Nick, maybe set the stage with some through match reviews, and we'll get the people understood as to where the tone is heading into this one.
Chris Steven, with notably not a 3-word match review, said, "Impossible. This is a family site." Yeah, I don't know about all that. Dr. Jimmy Brungus, that's so good. Should have slept in. I think Dan and I both feel that way. 6 a.m. kickoff on a Sunday it's brutal when 35 minutes in the game's over. Just not what you have in mind. Blue London 1905. Red in parens, Nico's version. Little Taylor Swift there. Public Garden 108 with Nico top rope with some WWE gifts associated. That's fun. T-Clot with immaturity proves pricey. No doubt about it. Megan with size in Chelsea. That's very good. Tana overall, friend of the pod, with outwitted, outplayed, outlasted. A little Survivor there. That was very good. Dan, what is your 3-word match review?
I'm going to try to go as positive as I can on this one. It's really, really difficult. But when the requirements didn't change, Chelsea needed 6 points to feel pretty secure about Champions League football for next season. You got 2 more games. You can get those 6 points. You just sort of leaving it to the end. So, look, we've been there before. We've all been there before, Nick. We've waited till the last 30 minutes before something was due. We were dusting off. We were hitting the extra couple shots of espresso. I mean, Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine, right? Tell me it'll be fine, please. Tell me it'll be fine.
As a lifelong procrastinator, I agree with your sentiment that is something that can happen. It just puts a hell of a lot of stress on the body to do it. So my 3-word match review is black and white, paying homage to Newcastle's colors and also just the straightforward nature of the lack of play that we had here. They deserve to win. We didn't deserve to win. It's pretty simple. And when you have a game that can define your season and you don't turn up in any serious way, I don't know what to tell you. Like it's just pretty simple.
Well, again, Newcastle match review was this past Sunday, May 11th, Mother's Day in the U.S.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there who listen to the pod.
Yes, we've know a couple of them. Tana's mom was on the last trip with us as well, with a bunch of her friends, so it was always wonderful. Again, in the Premier League, it felt like it should have been a final. Clearly wasn't after the second minute. At St. James's Park, the scoreline 2-0 to the bad guys. It was Tonali in the second minute. Of course, everyone expected him. And then Guilherme with what I will call a very generous goal assisted to him, because that deflection was unreal. The actual XG on his initial shot was at 0.01, Nick.
Sick.
In case you want to talk about how bad the luck went in this one.
Yeah, it was bad. It was no bueno. We will go through the lineup here just for posterity's sake. Robert Sanchez in goal. He was there. It didn't do anything catastrophic, but wasn't great either. Caicedo at right back, Trev Chalobah, Levi Colwill, Marc Cucurella, Romeo Lavia, Enzo Fernandez, Neto, Palmer, Madueke, and Jackson. Subs, Reece James at halftime for obvious reasons. Malo Gusto in the 75th minute for Lavia. Jadon Sancho for Trev Chalobah in the 75th minute. And no other used subs, including but not limited to Jorgensen, Tosin, Badiashile, Achampong, Dewsbury Hall, and Tyreek George.
It's a shame that you aren't on a first-name basis with them like I am.
Well, that's a Thursday thing. This is a more formal Monday podcast, Dan. Come on.
It's a performance review podcast.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about your year-end results here.
Full names for this one, Dan. Yeah.
Anyway, some top-line stats just in case you need to recollect exactly what went on. We had 55% possession of the ball to their 45%, 0.69 XG to their 1.56. They had 2 big chances to our 1, despite what Enzo Maresca would tell you about the second half of the game. We had 10 shots to their 15 on total. They had 3 goalkeeper saves, 2 huge ones to make our day a little less unkind. And we had 4 as well. Of our shots, 3 were on target to their 6. And those were the stats. I don't think there was any shithouse mode in the match, Nick. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
And no good random stats. So look, that's all of our top line stuff. So we do our quick ad break after that. When we come back, we'll talk about the tactical setup, Nico's red card, any 2020 hindsight decisions that we would do differently, knowing what we know now. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. All right, Nick. So a couple things right off the top. 2 minutes in the game, Tonali scores. The Lavia giveaway that happened. I want to just make it akin to people that like Sandro Tonali scoring right now is kind of like letting Kovacic score. Like if it happens in a season, you kind of did it to yourself. You definitely deserve it. And I know that this has been a better season for him. There have been seasons where he scores 5 or 6 or 7 goals, not necessarily in the Premier League, but when he played for Milan. It's just, he's not the guy you're expecting to score. And you did it to yourself 100%. The idea of the wingbacks got heavily exposed within the first 90 seconds of the game. And Newcastle came out prepared with an idea of how Chelsea were going to play. When Sam and I talked about in the preview podcast, he was suggesting that it was not the way that Chelsea should play. I was suggesting that I don't think Enzo Maresca is going to do anything different after what has been successful for him for the past couple games. And that turned out to be true, and it turned out to be incredibly difficult for the first little bit.
I think I just want to start with, I said this last week, and my hope was that beating a team like Liverpool, despite them being on the beach and all this sort of stuff, would be a moment of recognition for the players that they can play and beat these top teams. We've had a very poor record against the top 6 over the last few years. Very poor. and beating Liverpool, who are the rightful champions, or they might win the league by a record amount of points. My hope was that the team would take this game very, very seriously and match what we knew was going to be a raucous environment, a ton of energy from the Newcastle team, and really put in a shift in this game. And what happened is we came out timid, scared, and lethargic. There's no other way to say that. Lavia gets caught on the ball, trying to do twisty moves for reasons passing understanding on the outside of the box. Caicedo is kind of all over the map. Chalobah doesn't cover off on the space, and bing, bang, boom, you're down 1-0, crowd's rocking. It's exactly what Newcastle wanted. It's exactly what they wanted. And I think like that is the disappointment of today for me. I'm not even mad. I'm not going to go off on this podcast and because there's no point. The team just didn't show up. Like I'm giving them the energy that they gave us, which was very little. And I'm disappointed because I think that Newcastle Villa just pumped them 4-1 the other week. Right? This isn't like an unbeatable team. They're a good team. They're not an unbeatable team. But to beat them, you have to match their energy, and you can't be chaotic. And that is the number one thing. Is like we got punched in the mouth, and then we went into full chaos mode for the next 20 minutes. And Caicedo was throwing in reckless challenges. We'll talk about the whole Nico situation in a bit. It was just ugly. We were second best to every ball. We just looked completely out of our minds as a team. And it's the exact opposite of what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a team with some confidence, go in, play composed, play more like they did in the second half with 10 men. And it just, again, this team is the leadership is lacking, the experience is lacking. And when you throw a bunch of inexperienced young guys together, it can create a combustible situation. And now we're here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of what I was kind of reading into as I watched people comment online, and I went back and watched some of the second half. It felt like there was a little bit in the moment of over-indexing on the second half performance in the game, just in terms of the quality of it. I mean, effectively, you had 70-ish minutes of football down an additional man, and the opportunity to really allow the side to just absorb. I mean, there was not a whole lot that Newcastle was trying to do at any point in the second half. I mean, all their XG came in the first half. I mean, they've manufactured one big chance in the second half, 0.09 XG to our 0.2 XG in the second half. We had one big chance as well in that time period. I mean, you could argue there was the Reece chance and there was the Enzo chance that kind of were good in what they were and kind of their expected kind of goal on target type of thing. The Enzo one was probably the best of all the chances, but they just wanted us to have the ball and defend and tuck in and be super comfortable and not let anything get out of hand. And so I think as much as we were praising maybe the effort, I mean, if there was some really like the second half, I thought like Levi Colwill committed extremely hard to some of his challenges. I mean, when you're pushing that far forward and you're over, kind of committing to get some number advantages, you're going to leave somebody stranded. He came up, I think, and prevented a couple of things. Chalobah looked good in the second half. I think Caicedo looked much better in the second half when he was pushed into midfield. But it was really just a performance full of things where it's like, if something could go wrong in this game, it went wrong, and it started from minute one. And I think that's where I would look to Enzo Maresca and maybe the way he set up for this game and say, hey, you clearly did not adapt to the way that this team plays. No. You said, we're going to force our identity, we're going to force our style, we're going to try to make it happen, and you got exposed. And I think that's probably the most frustrating thing, is that you want to see some of the flexibility he had, like with saying, hey, Liverpool are going to play us a different way. Even the setup is the same type of players. We're going to commit to doing football a little bit differently. And it just didn't pan out in the execution phase, nor kind of in the personnel phase too. I mean, I think that's like when Reece James came on, we did look better, even with 10 men, Nick.
Well, yeah, you talked about you're in Sam's preview, last week, and It just, of course, he was going to roll out the same lineup. Of course, he was. I think the guy is so desperate to find a formula that will work that he lacks imagination. And it shouldn't take a whole lot of imagination to go, hey, this is a big game. We need our biggest players on the biggest stage. Reece James is one of our biggest, if not biggest players. And if that doesn't work, we can roll Caicedo back there. But I want Caicedo in the midfield, partnering Lavia. I want to throw Enzo up and play with the midfield three and really try and win the midfield. And then, so not only does he screw that up, which I think was glaring error, I should say, and not at all how we should have went out. But when Newcastle starts with this back five, they spring this back five trap on us that we haven't. They don't play with the back five very often. They play with the back four, and the commentary even said they were playing. They were practicing in pregame warmups with the back four. They roll out this back five with like a box in midfield that was set in front of the back five so that Cole Palmer couldn't operate at all. Like they've done what some of the other teams have done to Cole Palmer and really try and isolate him in a box of two center backs and two midfielders just to not allow him the freedom of movement or freedom of like a clear pass. We never reacted to that. We never tried to bring another 8 up there to partner him and take away a couple of those midfielders or provide any other width that could have potentially led to an overlap and getting him behind, because that's where, that formation is incredibly vulnerable. So the pregame management was bad. The player selection was bad. And then the in-game recognition of what Newcastle was doing never really went anywhere until it was too late, right? And so, even the in-game substitutions, Nico, obviously we'll talk about, but like you're playing without a formal striker. You bring Madueke off. Pedro Neto is blowing. Like he is gassed for the entire second half. And I get that he, at his peak athleticism, he is quick and dangerous and can get in behind and maybe get you a cheap goal, right? Like that is, I think, the reason why he's on. Also, he works harder than Madueke off the ball. But Madueke has been, I think, really dynamic on that left-hand side and probably would have been a better option to keep in the game at that point because he's able to hold up the ball a little bit better. He's able to contain. He's able to dribble. He's able to like make different moves. And I just didn't understand that. And then I also didn't understand in a game like this, not bringing on someone like Ty to go up top if you're not going to have, a recognized, center forward option, or put Cole up there as a false nine. Cole was still playing in the midfield for a large part of the second half, I think, trying to find his space in the game. And it never really went anywhere. I know your subs are limited with 10, and I know like the amount of impact you can really have when you're chasing the game and doing all that stuff is limited. But there were so many opportunities that I look at, Dan, and I'm like, man, like sometimes what I say last week, don't overcomplicate it, right? Don't overcomplicate it. And for me, they overcomplicated it. It's, I would have had Noni stay on. I would have had Ty come on in the 60th minute and just see if there was something to do. Maybe nothing changes, but that's my Monday morning quarterbacking of this situation.
Well, one thing that you can't necessarily Monday morning quarterback or, I don't know, Monday morning referee is Nico Jackson's red card for violent conduct and was adjudicated as a yellow on the pitch. And then when I saw the replay, I was like, if this goes to VAR, we are screwed with a capital S. And I was hopeful for like half a second. We're like, oh, they're kind of moving quick on this one. Nope. They did not move quick at all, Nick. Nope. They said, go back to that monitor because you saw it and you were completely wrong. And to be fair, like there have been times where VAR has worked in our favor. There's times when VAR does not work in our favor. This is a time, though, that the player did something incorrect, went against the laws of the game, got adjudicated rightly, and has now put themselves in a position where they're not going to play through the end of the season because it's a violent conduct red. Chelsea are now down to, and this is partially, I would say, more on the footballing structure than Enzo Maresca, without a true recognized striker heading into two very critical games. And, you would have him available for the Conference League final. Question is, you will not have played football then for a couple weeks at that point in time. Are you going to bring him on for that one? Just the absolute lunacy of it is really unfortunate. And, there have been times where, Nico had that initial run where he came to Chelsea, just couldn't get out of his own way in terms of the yellow cards he accumulated, ended up going on like this massive run to like get himself back into like a really great like football discipline standpoint, contributing from a goal and assist standpoint. He, much like Cole Palmer, went quiet for a large part of the second half of the season, had just kind of come back in a scoring form, excited a lot of us, made us feel like that was going to be the thing that would help us get across the line here. And now the team is left without him. He is now left out football for a little bit of time. And it was all avoidable. It was all like, that is the most infuriating piece of it. It's completely avoidable. Needless movement with the right arm, looks at the guy directly and decides to lead in anyway. And you wish it didn't happen. And I think it does bring up, I think, a lot of questions heading into the summer. Mm-hmm. Some of the links that Chelsea have had from our striker standpoint. I mean, Matt joked during our live pod, like, hey, if Chelsea were going to sell a player this summer, maybe it's someone like Nico Jackson, no advance notice. Like, hey, I'm not, I'm just making like a throwing a dart in the board with my eyes blindfolded. Maybe they would try to sell him. I mean, I just saw some people after the game saying it could have been one of his last games for Chelsea.
Yeah, this is tough, man. So let me just say,
we should establish it was a absolutely justified, completely fair red card.
It's a completely fair red card. Yeah, there in my mind, there's no doubt, and it's a fair red card because he sizes him up before he does it, right? And the arm isn't a straight on bow across the chest. It's a lift up, right? And look, have you seen worse red cards? Of course you have. It's not the worst red card that you'll ever see, but it's dangerous conduct, and it's a red card, and now he's suspended for 3 league matches, which is the last 2 league matches of this season and the first one of next season, right? So there's a lot to say about this. One, I am incredibly, incredibly frustrated that this happened because I like Nico. I got Nico on the back of my shirt this year. I really do think that he is, on his day, a special talent and a guy that has a shit ton of potential that, could be a great player for Chelsea, right? He's, I think in most cases, overperformed what we thought we were buying when we got him from Villarreal. And there are kind of 2 Nicos, and we haven't seen out of control Nico for a long time, to be fair to him. Like, he plays on the edge. He's a very on the edge guy. He's a little shithouse. He likes to get, into the mix. He's a little Rudiger-y for me, like just on the edge, but never quite, past it. Right. So I want to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt, but situationally and situational awareness is one of my top things that I look for in a player. It can't happen. It just can't happen. The situation, the occasion on the day, the opportunity that you have to put your team in a great position to play Champions League football and probably get yourself a raise next year, right? Performance bonuses and all that stuff for the Champions League. And you go out there and you put you basically make the game unwinnable for the team, down to 10 men, playing with 10 men for 65 plus minutes. It was selfish. It was stupid. And I really do wonder what the future looks like for him, because Maresca didn't look at him when he went off the pitch. I mean, I couldn't blame him. And his teammates were, I think they knew. They were trying to argue with the referee, but I think they knew it was bad. And your point about it just being so, like, there's no reason to do it. You're not winning the ball. The ball was already passed. Like, it just, he's a guy that I like. He's a guy that I want to be successful, but you can't have it. And I think at best in the summer, he's going to be second string, having to earn everything back with his teammates for this situation. And at worst, who knows? Maybe he's not here. And it felt like one of those moments. We've seen these moments before, Dan, when a player does something catastrophic that might change their whole damn trajectory at this club.
I think there were a couple takes I saw where people were saying like he's cost Chelsea their Champions League spot, which I think is maybe true in the moment, but lacks the larger context of this Chelsea team could have beat Ipswich twice. And we would not be having any conversation about what Chelsea should have done. He could have scored goals. Cole Palmer's could have scored goals. Like the whole team is accountable for not, if we don't hit the Champions League, it's a whole team thing. I have a really rough time blaming it on a single player, and I think that's a pretty unkind type of take. The same thing where it's like Romeo Lavia, one possession, giving up the goal. Like, yeah, it sucks a bunch, but like over the course of the season, I mean, you could say Rob Sanchez then is very accountable for Chelsea not qualifying, or that at certain times he has saved us on matches. Like, it's so hard for that narrative to kind of exist in the moment. And like, yes, you're frustrated at a player. Yes, he could have done better on the day, but like, this is a team sport, a group of individuals, and they all have to work together to deliver. And like sometimes there's going to be great boons, and then sometimes there's going to be moments where they individually suck, and like that's just the nature of it.
Yeah, I agree. This is the quintessential team sport. You win and lose as a team, right? And if Chelsea make the Champions League, it's because they were just barely good enough to make the Champions League. And if they don't make the Champions League, it's because they're just barely not good enough to make the Champions League as a team, right? All of that is incredibly valid. I think what I would the minimum expectation for this, and I think this conversation is, okay, we put ourselves last week in a phenomenal position to go and advance and to keep climbing that ladder towards the Champions League. Nobody do something stupid. Right? No red cards, no second yellow cards. Like we're disciplined and we're working together as a team and we're giving ourselves the best chance to win. Right? Like that to me is like a bare minimum expectation. And when you do something like this, which to me, because he looks at him and he raises his elbow, it feels like he was trying to get him. Like it does. It feels like he was trying to go after Botman, and I don't know if he was trying to hurt him or not, but that's what the referee adjudicated. He said it's violent conduct. He was trying to hurt him. And, it's a bad look. And as a teammate, I think we've all been on teams, whether in our professional careers or in sports leagues or whatever. When a teammate lets you down like that, they have to then go earn the trust back to say, I'm sorry. I'm ready. I'm sure he's apologized already. I'm sure all that's happened. Like, again, benefit of the doubt where it needs to be. But he has to go earn the trust back. He has to be accountable, and make sure that he doesn't do something like this again. I mean, the situation that we're in, we cannot afford to have a guy put the rest of his teammates in almost impossible winning conditions, right? And that's the bummer part of it, man. I like him as a player. I think he's a fun character when things are going really great. And I think he has a little bit of the red mist when things aren't going that great. And that's what we saw today, unfortunately. We didn't see the fun, joyous, exuberant Nico. He barely touched the ball before he got the right card.
There were also a couple just, touch on quickly. Enzo Maresca had comments about the red card after the fact. The first one when he said that one thing I could say is sometimes it's too easy to take some decision in some stadiums. If the referee decides it's a red, which I didn't hear it, but it reads as the awkward, like in another stadium, it doesn't happen. Whatever. I followed up on another interview by saying the red card affected the game, no doubt, but we had 3 big chances in the second half. Incorrect, which isn't easy with 10 men. True. The energy, the spirit, the togetherness of the team in the second half has been fantastic. It's something I can feel proud of.
Can I just quickly comment on that? Because he says the quiet part out loud here. We again, for the umpteenth game, Liverpool, I think the exception to this rule, played one half of football. He's even saying it here. We played one half of football again. It's not good enough. You got to play a full 90. You got to get at least 70 good minutes in there. I'm sorry. Like that. I've been harping on this for weeks now, but like he puts it out there. So I gotta say it.
I'm just ready for a version of soccer/football where you only have to play 45 minutes, Nick, because this team
We'd kill it.
will win it all. We'll win it all. And Zamreska finishing with I didn't speak to Nico. It's not the moment. We'll speak to him the next day. No doubt he has to learn from it, especially at this stage of the season. We have 2 more games. You have to avoid this kind of thing. Yes, obvious. Anyway, those are Enzo Maresca's comments on it. We're going to take an ad break. And when we get back, we'll talk about where this leaves Chelsea in their quest for a top 5 spot. Still all in their hands. Just the work is really difficult. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Nick, it's the same as it was before the game even kicked off. It's a win and you're in type of scenario. I mean, that has to feel good, right? You still control your destiny. It just means that you're allowing your destiny to potentially slip out of your hands. By the way, you're trying to see if you could give the position in top 5 to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember vividly the 2020, like the COVID year where we finished the year in the summer, right? And Chelsea were chasing top 4 after they got back from the COVID break. They were there and thereabouts, right? This was, Lampard's, season. I think, it was just like a weird year, and it was a young team, right? All those young guys and all that sort of stuff, and like we finished the year on a pretty good tear. Like we beat Man City 1-0, and that I think that crowned Liverpool champions, ironically. And then we kept winning. And Pulisic went on a tear that summer that kind of lifted us above the line. But on the last day of the season, we still needed Leicester to beat Spurs, who were also right neck and neck with us, to get into the Champions League. And it feels like a very similar scenario here because we went on a bit of a slide at the end of the year. And so it feels to me, honestly, like it's not Chelsea are not going to like solely earn it. Other people will have to slip. And like that is just kind of how I feel about this at this moment. Like it just doesn't, I'm not filled with a whole lot of optimism right now. I think the results continue in a lot of ways to like benefit us miraculously. And only at moments are we taking advantage of those results.
So the Opta computer has recrunched the numbers. No surprise, Liverpool in the Champions League spots, and it's pretty much a 99.9% probability at this point that Arsenal will finish in the top 5, and we might actually want them to beat Newcastle in the coming week. Newcastle now on the win, 95.46% probability. They're
in. It's over. Yeah.
And then you have Man City on 92.66. So it feels like the 3-way race for 5th spot at the moment, Nick, between, as everybody predicted at the beginning of the season, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, and Chelsea Football Club for that top 5 spot. As of right now, they are suggesting that it really is a coin flip between Chelsea and Aston Villa, with a probability that Chelsea get in the Champions League being higher. And I only think that's because Chelsea play Nottingham Forest and we would keep them out, though Aston Villa does have a very favorable remaining 2 matches for them against the 2 Europa League finalists that are about lighting up the world by storm in the league at the moment. Chelsea's probability 56.28, Aston Villa's 37.88, and then Forest with just a wild result this weekend. Wild last couple of results have now dropped to a 17.82 after being very much firmly in that top 3 and 4 for a significant period of the season. Thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty worried about Villa right now. I think I did the math. I think they've won 8 of their last 9 league games. They scraped by against Bournemouth. Very, very fortunate to do so. I was really, really hoping for a draw in that game. But, they finished with Spurs, who are fucking useless, and United, who are 1 point better than Spurs. I mean, both these teams are a joke. And, I think the supercomputer is not having it yet for us, but man, I'm looking at Villa as a real threat. It feels to me like Forest have kind of, with not beating Leicester, have kind of taken themselves not fully out of contention, because they could still win their last two, I think, be there or thereabouts, but like it feels like they're not doing the job. Like they needed to win today to really feel confident, because West Ham just dispatched United earlier, relative ease. I mean, and so they play West Ham and they finish with us. Obviously, we play United, finish with Forest, Villa, Tottenham, and United. So United's going to feature heavily in this last few games for top five. But I mean, the only thing that we have going for us is the goal diff. So if we win out and Villa wins out, assuming that Villa doesn't win 12-0 in a match, which is nigh on impossible, even against Tottenham. Like it just doesn't. That's really the only path forward now. You need to win out. Your margin of error is completely unequivocally gone. And I'll be honest, Dan. Like we have one win in our last 10 against United, a very similar record to what we had against Liverpool.
That means we're breaking it, buddy. That's what we're doing here. Let's go.
Yeah, and Ollie, I think, pointed out that if we beat them at home on Friday, it's a Friday game, by the way, so just
true.
Your calendar should be updated accordingly. If we beat them at home on Friday, that's back-to-back league wins for the first time in a decade against them, which is like fucking it's insane, because they've been bad. Like over the last like 5 years, we've been better than they have been. Like to a letter. Like it's not even close. And so we just play down to them. I seriously worry about that on Friday. I hope the atmosphere is good. I hope, we're able to accommodate the loss of Jackson and all that sort of stuff, and figure out a way to play through. Maybe it's Pedro Neto up top or Ty up top or one of these solutions. But like, I think we just play down to them, and I think playing down to them in this scenario would be unforgivable. So I really hope we go smack them 3-4-0, just dispatch it early in the first half, not have to worry about it. And then the last game of the season, man, that's it. That's what that's what you get paid the big bucks for. So we'll see. But I mean, Forest are certainly not playing their best football right now. And I think Villa are playing their best football in this stretch. I mean, they had a pretty decent tie against PSG in the Champions League. PSG notably killed all the English competition out of this year's fixture. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm 50-50.
It's kind of 56.28. That's what Opta's saying. So you're kind of within the realm of what they think the probabilities are. I mean, again, Chelsea wins both games, we're in. Like, that is just the end outcome of all of this. So unless Aston Villa has some crazy goal difference catch up that they're about to do, like, that is kind of the situation we find ourselves in. And if you beat Forest, you've effectively kept them out of the conversation as well. Look, Graham Potter could do something crazy too and help us out. And I would not be opposed to Big Ange just having one last hurrah before he goes and loses some additional games and a final in Europe so that they remain trophyless for an extended period of time. And look, United can win that last game of the season against Villa. Let's just make it easy for us. Come on, take some points off the opposition. Let us feel good and allow us to get back in there. Again, wouldn't have been a problem if we had beaten the teams in front of us early in the season.
No, I mean, all to the end. If we don't make it, it's completely our doing. And I think it, again, the stakes are very high. Like Enzo Maresca, if he makes top five, even in like a very procrastinated last minute way, will be looked at vastly differently with excitement and momentum rather than disappointment and dread for next season. And I hope that he has something in his bag for these last couple of games. I hope he has the right combination of players. I hope he figures out how we can get back on the goals. I hope I hope we figure out how to do something effective and give ourselves a chance. There would be no worse feeling than having a listless draw at home to United and basically eliminating ourselves from Champions League. So I hope we go out and blow them out, and then I hope we take Forest to the cleaners on the last day and, make their owner come out on the field again like a fucking moron. And, what a clown. Jesus, that dude is just absolutely absurd. So, yeah, I hope we're able to incite more of his stupidity. But, yeah, it's dicey, and Villa now are the threat, unfortunately.
Well, look, a friend of the pod, Matt Law, says his projections have been phenomenal over the last 3 games. He says if they hold, we're going to be in the Champions League spots. So I'm just going to take the Matt Law philosophy to the rest of the season and hope that pans out. But we've done it. We finished our pod here. We talked about what we think could happen over the last couple of games. Again, 2 games left in Chelsea's Premier League season, a Europa Conference League final that we have coming up as well. So 3 games before the 24-25 season is fully done and dusted. And then a quick turn for the Club World Cup, which we've locked in some things, Nick. We've locked in some time in Atlanta. We've locked in some time in Philadelphia. We may have some ability to pay for a couple beers for people, which is pretty exciting. And we've got more details that will come out about that in the coming days and weeks ahead.
Yeah, we have an exciting opportunity coming up. So we're going to have a sponsor. We're going to throw some parties this summer. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let's hope we're doing it under the guise of playing Champions League football next year, because that would make everything a little bit sweeter.
Well, that's what we hope. But again, this is and was our match review of the Newcastle disappointment. That
Debacle.
Was.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll find other D words used. Domination by Newcastle. And we've got tons of other content coming your way that will hopefully be more uplifting over the remainder of the week. More videos on YouTube. We got more midweek conversation, also a match preview and then review for Manchester United. Hopefully it is a dub and we are celebrating that one. But that's going to do it for this one. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.